Digital shadows, the real danger behind your online behavior. It started with a strange message blinking on the screen. A pop-up window, anonymous, unassuming. The kind you've seen 1,000 times before. Please confirm your login. Your session has expired. It flickered for a second, almost impatiently, as if daring her to click it. The office was silent, except for the dull hum of fluorescent lights. Her cursor hovered. One click. That was all it took. In the background, a fan whirred in the corner. On her desk, a half-empty coffee cup steamed faintly. She didn't notice the moment the screen flashed. She didn't see the keystrokes being logged. She couldn't hear the code waking up beneath the surface of her system, reaching out, slipping silently into her company's network. She had no idea she just opened the door to something dark, something waiting. What she also didn't know, someone was watching. Someone who'd been watching for weeks. Following her search history, her late-night browsing habits, her posts, likes, private messages. All the little crumbs of her life she never thought twice about leaving behind. Collected, analyzed, exploited. This is a story of how a single click, born out of trust and routine, triggered one of the most sophisticated cyber intrusions ever to strike a U.S. financial institution. It's a story not just about code, but about people. About how your everyday digital actions, your likes, your shares, your forgotten logins, can be used to unravel you. By the end of this investigation, we'll reveal who orchestrated the attack, how they traced their target through layers of invisible digital footprints, and the devastating consequences that followed. We'll explore how experts track the culprits through cyberspace and the terrifying questions that remain. Was it an inside job? Could it happen again? Or is it already happening? But first, we have to go back to the beginning. The year was 2020. The world was on edge. Between lockdowns and market crashes, people spent more time online than ever before. Social media usage skyrocketed. Remote work systems boomed. Cybersecurity, on the other hand, struggled to keep up. It was during this digital overload that Calyx Capital, a mid-sized fintech firm based in Atlanta, became the target of a quiet storm. The firm had been growing rapidly, attracting high-net-worth clients with its sleek platform and aggressive investment tools. But its growth came with a cost, an expanding attack surface. And somewhere deep in a hidden corner of the internet, someone had been watching them closely. Her name was Dana Reyes, mid-level project manager. Quiet, reliable, logged in from her home office every morning at 8:45 a.m. sharp. Like clockwork, she used the same password, D at NYBoy98, on 5 different platforms, including a fitness app that had been breached 2 years ago. She never changed it. It wasn't her fault. Not really. But to the attackers, Dana was the ideal vector. She worked on product launches. She had access to internal schedules, confidential data, even executive emails. But more importantly, she was invisible. Not high profile enough to be protected. Not suspicious enough to be watched. So they followed her. They started with open source intelligence, OSINT, scraping her LinkedIn, analyzing her routine, cross-referencing her Instagram for clues. Every like, every hashtag, every check-in. A digital mosaic of her life, more revealing than she ever imagined. And then came the breach. A spear phishing email disguised as a company-wide password reset alert. Dana clicked. She logged in. And with that, they were in. The malware was silent, stealthy. It installed itself without a sound, bypassing the antivirus by posing as a routine update. Over the next 3 days, it harvested keystrokes, captured screenshots, mapped the network. Every digital breath Calyx Capital took was now visible to someone else. They called themselves Black Echo, a decentralized cybercrime group known for data exfiltration and blackmail. Not state-sponsored, but skilled, ruthless. For weeks, they watched and waited until they found what they were looking for. Deep inside Calyx Capital's internal drives sat an unencrypted database. Client investment profiles, bank routing numbers, social security numbers. A gold mine. They didn't take everything. Not right away. That would trigger alerts. They dripped the data out slowly, quietly, selling it in fragments on darknet forums. A doctor in Dallas, a retiree in Miami, a hedge fund CEO in Chicago. Their data, lives, finances compromised. One by one, each breach traced back to a different leak. But the truth was, it all started with Dana. The first sign of trouble came when a client reported unauthorized wire transfers. Then 2 more. Then 10. Internal panic erupted. But nothing made sense. There were no logs of forced entry. No system alarms. Just money gone. That's when they called in Jonathan Malik, a digital forensics analyst with 20 years of experience. Calm, methodical, relentless. He began by reconstructing the system's recent behaviors, looking for anomalies, user patterns, login timestamps, process calls. What he found was chilling. A silent executable file running deep in the system kernel. Time-stamped to the exact minute Dana clicked that fake login screen. He brought it to the executive team. Their expressions turned to stone. They knew what this meant. Over the next week, Malik and his team at Sentinel Cybertech began tracing the malware's communication logs. It was exfiltrating data through encrypted DNS tunneling, disguising stolen information as innocent server pings. The attackers had left barely a whisper behind, but it was enough. A clue in the code, a signature string embedded in the payload. Something familiar. Malik ran it through his database. The signature matched a prior attack on a Swiss brokerage firm 6 months earlier, also traced a Black Echo. But in that case, the attackers vanished before law enforcement could move. This time, Malik wouldn't let that happen. He followed the digital trail. The command and control servers pinged back to Eastern Europe, then bounced through proxies in Southeast Asia, then again through a VPN node in Toronto. It was a mess of misdirection. But humans make mistakes, even hackers. In a rare slip, one of the operators accessed control panel without enabling the proxy. Just once, just 5 seconds. But it was enough. An IP log, a timestamp, a trace. Interpol was notified. Within 72 hours, a cyber task force in Bucharest launched a raid. Arrested 3 members of Black Echo. Their equipment seized. Their logs decrypted. And there, on one of the machines, a folder labeled Atlas_2020_Calyx. Inside, full maps of the firm's infrastructure, internal memos, access credentials, transaction blueprints. Proof beyond any doubt. But the story didn't end there. The 4th hacker, the architect, was still at large, known only by their online handle, SpecterNode, the one who created the malware, the one who studied Dana, the one who planned everything. Some say SpecterNode was an insider, a former employee with a grudge. Others believe he was a ghost operative working across multiple criminal networks. Malik isn't sure, but he knows this. The attack was too targeted, too personal, to be random. Calyx Capital was never the real goal. It was a test run, a proof of concept. SpecterNode was practicing, and then, just as fast as it began, it stopped. The data stopped leaking. The command servers went dark. SpecterNode vanished. In the aftermath, Calyx Capital lost over $85 million. Their CEO stepped down. Lawsuits followed. New legislation was drafted around mandatory encryption standards and digital hygiene protocols. But the scars ran deeper. Dana resigned. She couldn't bear the guilt, even though she was never officially blamed. Malik said it best in his report. The breach was not caused by a single human error. It was caused by a culture of digital complacency. And perhaps that's the real danger, because in our world, where every search, every click, every scroll leaves behind a shadow, we forget that someone might be watching, not just governments or advertisers, but predators, manipulators, engineers of chaos. Your digital footprint isn't just a trail. It's a map, a reflection of who you are, what you love, what you fear. And in the wrong hands, that map can become a weapon. So ask yourself who's following yours. Before you click away, consider this. If one forgotten password, one overlooked detail, could bring down a company, what could it do to your life? If this story made you rethink your online presence, subscribe to Cybercrime Exposed Files, unmasking the dark side of the digital world. Like this video. And let us know in the comments, what's the one online behavior you now realize might be putting you at risk? And finally, when was the last time you checked what's in your digital shadow?